dad's miracle child is erasing me from his life. Do I confront him or let him go? So, I guess I'm here because my life's been blown to pieces, and I need to figure out whether I'm losing my mind or if I'm the only one who sees what's actually going on. I'm Sarah, 29, female, and I feel like everything that's happening around me is a freaking soap opera. But unlike some trashy TV show, this is my real life. It's about my dad, his new wife, my half-brother, and the absolute mess that's been unfolding since my dad remarried. I don't know where to start, but here goes nothing. My dad, Richard, he's 55, got remarried 2 years ago to a woman named Diane, 44. She's the same age as my older sister, Emily, 31. That fact alone weirded me out from the start, but I try to be open-minded. I thought, age is just a number, right? Right. Anyway, everything seemed cool at first. Diane was polite, if a little distant, but whatever. I didn't need a new mom. I'm an adult. But things started getting weird when Diane had my half-brother Aaron last year. The second that baby was born, it's like my dad forgot he had 2 grown-ass daughters. I mean, I get it, babies take up a lot of time and attention. But holy shit, my dad treats Aaron like he's the second coming of Jesus Christ. Everything is Aaron this, Aaron that. And Diane? She freaking feeds it. She keeps talking about how this is my dad's second chance at family, how he has a chance to do it right this time. Like, excuse me? What the hell were we? Practice kids? But here's where it gets really screwed up. Diane's been pushing my dad to change his will, to make sure Aaron gets what he deserves because, apparently, Emily and I have already had our shot. Like, I busted my ass to get where I am today. No help from him, by the way. Emily's been self-sufficient since she was 19. We didn't have a shot. We freaking made our lives happen. Now, Diane's making it seem like we don't even exist. I overheard a conversation between them last week, and it shook me to my core. My dad was talking about cutting Emily and me out of the will completely. Diane was right there, smiling like the freaking Cheshire Cat, nodding along, talking about how it was only fair that Aaron gets everything because, and I quote, "He's the only one who's going to carry on your legacy, Richard." What the hell does that even mean? Since when does DNA determine someone's worth in a family? I'm at my wit's end. I don't know how to confront my dad without it turning into a full-on war. Emily's told me to let it go, that it's not worth the fight, but she's always been the peacekeeper. Me? I'm not about to roll over and play dead while they rewrite history like we don't matter. Has anyone else gone through something like this? How do I even begin to handle it? Because right now, I'm ready to scream. Update 1. Okay, so after my last post, I didn't confront my dad right away. I try to play it cool, keep my distance, and just observe. But the more I watched, the angrier I got. Every time I visited, Diane acted like Aaron was some kind of mini-king, and my dad was basically his servant. I'm not exaggerating. This kid is like 18 months old, and Diane has already decided that he's the only priority. It's bizarre. Anyway, last week, Emily, 31, female, and I went over for dinner. We were trying to keep things light, but it was impossible. Everything revolved around Aaron. The food? Baby-friendly. The conversation? Aaron's milestones. Even freaking Diane's social media? Non-stop baby pictures with captions like "Daddy's perfect little legacy." At one point, Emily made a joke about how Dad's forgotten what it's like to have adult kids. I swear, you could hear a pin drop. Diane got all stiff, her eyes narrowing, and Dad just chuckled nervously, like he didn't want to get in trouble with his wife. That's when I realized he's freaking scared of her. After dinner, Dad pulled me aside, which I thought was weird. I assumed he wanted to clear the air, but no. Instead, he started lecturing me about how family is changing and how I need to respect Diane's wishes when it comes to Aaron's future. Respect her wishes? What about respecting your daughters? The ones who've been there all along? I couldn't hold it in anymore. I told him straight up that I knew about the will. His face went pale. Diane, of course, appeared right on cue, all fake smiles, asking if everything was okay. That's when it hit me. She's playing him like a damn fiddle. She's got my dad wrapped around her little finger, making him believe that he's doing the right thing by screwing his daughters over for a toddler who can't even wipe his own ass yet. I don't know what I expected, but my dad just stood there, looking guilty and pathetic. No apology, no explanation, just silence. And Diane? She just smiled. I left without saying goodbye. Update 2. So, things have escalated and not in a good way. After the dinner incident, I couldn't stop thinking about how deep this rabbit hole goes. I mean, if my dad is willing to change his will without even telling us, what else has Diane been whispering in his ear? I called Emily, and we decided it was time to have a serious talk with him. No Diane around. We invited him out to lunch, neutral territory, just the 3 of us. At first, things were civil. He acted like nothing was wrong. like we hadn't just found out he was planning to disinherit us. But then, when I brought it up, his whole demeanor shifted. He got defensive, started talking about how Aaron is his only son and how Diane's right. He needs to make sure Aaron's future is secure. Emily, of course, tried to keep the peace, asking him if there was a way we could work something out, like a fair split, or at least some acknowledgement of the fact that we're still his kids. But Dad? He shut it down, flat out told us that Aaron's future comes first. I lost it. I don't even remember what I said exactly, but it wasn't pretty. I called Diane a manipulative gold digger and told him he was being a blind fool, throwing his daughters away for some fantasy family Diane's cooked up. Emily was trying to calm me down, but I was too far gone. My dad stood up, all red-faced, and said, "If you can't accept my family, then maybe you don't need to be a part of it." That was it. I left the restaurant shaking, and Emily stayed behind to try to smooth things over, but I'm done. I don't know if I can ever forgive him for this. Update 3. It's been a few weeks since the blow-up at lunch, and things have gotten even weirder. Dad hasn't reached out to me at all, which is fine because I'm still too angry to talk to him. Emily's been playing mediator, but even she's starting to lose patience with him. Diane, meanwhile, has been on some kind of freaking PR campaign, posting constant updates about their happy little family and Aaron's every move like it's national news. But here's the kicker. Yesterday, I got a call from my aunt, my dad's sister. Apparently, my dad's been telling the extended family that I'm jealous of Aaron, and that's why I'm causing all this drama. He's painting me as some bitter, ungrateful daughter who can't handle the fact that he's moved on. I'm livid. I confronted him over the phone, and he doubled down, said I needed to get over it and stop being so selfish. Selfish? For wanting to be treated like I still matter in my own damn family? I hung up on him. I'm done trying to reason with a man who's so far gone, he doesn't even recognize his own daughters anymore. Update 4. Okay, so things just hit a new low. I'm seriously at a loss for words. Today, I found out that Diane is pregnant. Again, another baby. Another freaking mini-messiah for Dad to fawn over while completely ignoring that Emily and I exist. Emily and I are numb. How the hell do we even deal with this now? Dad's already made it clear where his priorities lie. And with another kid on the way, I can only imagine how much more we're going to be erased from the picture. I don't know what to do anymore. It's like I'm watching my family crumble, and I can't stop it. Update 5. I didn't think things could get any worse, but of course, life had to prove me wrong. After finding out Diane was pregnant, I spent the next few days in a fog. I kept thinking about how far gone Dad was, how much worse this was going to get when the new baby arrived. And then the bomb dropped. I got a text from Emily this morning. Just a simple, "You need to call me. Now." When I called her back, she was crying. And Emily never cries. She's always the calm one, the voice of reason. So, when I heard her sobbing on the other end of the phone, my heart sank. "They're taking the house," she said. "What? Who's taking what house?" "Dad. Diane. They're selling the house. The one we grew up in." I felt my stomach drop. That house wasn't just a building. It was our childhood, our memories, our mother's legacy. It was the only place left that felt like home, even if we hadn't lived there in years. It was the one thing that still connected us to the life we had before Diane came into the picture. And now they were just getting rid of it? I didn't even try to hold back. I called my dad right away, hands shaking, and when he picked up, I didn't waste any time. "Why the hell are you selling the house?" He acted like it was no big deal, like I was being overdramatic. "It's just a house, Sarah. Diane, and I need a bigger place with a new baby coming. It doesn't make sense to keep it. Just a house." I practically screamed into the phone. "That house is our entire childhood. It's all we have left of Mom." There was silence on the other end for a moment. And then, his voice, cold and detached. "You're not a child anymore, Sarah. You and Emily need to move on." Move on. He actually said that, as if our lives and everything we've been through could just be packed up in boxes and sold off to the highest bidder. As if the memories didn't matter. As if we didn't matter. I hung up. I couldn't deal with it anymore. I sat there, staring at the phone, wondering how it had come to this. Wondering how my dad could look at me and my sister and see nothing but obstacles in the way of his new life with Diane and Aaron and the new baby. How did we go from being his daughters to being complete strangers? Update 6. It's been a month since I found out about the house, and honestly, I haven't spoken to Dad since that call. I've tried to block it all out, try to focus on work, on friends, on anything other than the slow-motion car crash that my family's become. But there's no escaping it. Emily's been keeping tabs on things. She's always been more patient than I am, more willing to deal with Dad's bullshit, but even she's reaching her breaking point. Every time we talk, she sounds more and more drained. She told me that Diane's been parading around town, making sure everyone knows she's pregnant with Dad's miracle child. I swear, if I hear the words miracle child one more time, I'm gonna lose it. Then, out of nowhere, Emily dropped a bombshell on me. They're having a gender reveal next week, she said. I couldn't help it. I laughed. A bitter, hollow laugh. Of course they are. Let me guess, it's going to be the event of the century. Emily sighed. Dad invited me. He didn't invite you. I felt my heart stop for a second. Wait, what? Yeah. He said Diane doesn't think it's appropriate for you to be there after everything that's happened. He wants to keep the peace. Keep the peace. Right. Because I'm the one who's been tearing the family apart, not Diane, with her manipulations and her constant need to erase Emily and me from Dad's life. I'm not going, Emily said. There's no way I'm showing up to celebrate this mess. But still, the fact that I wasn't even invited, that stung. Even though I knew I didn't want to go, it hurt. It was just more proof that, in Dad's eyes, we don't matter anymore. Diane's pulling the strings, and Dad's dancing along like a freaking puppet. Update 7. I wasn't going to do anything about the gender reveal. I was going to let it go, let Dad and Diane have their little party, and just keep my distance. But then I saw the pictures. Diane had made sure to post them all over social media. Big, colorful balloon displays, a cake with pink and blue icing, a crowd of people gathered around. And there was my dad, grinning like an idiot, holding Aaron while they popped some giant balloon filled with confetti. It was a girl. Diane was having a girl. And there in the background was Emily. She went. When I called her, I wasn't angry. I was hurt. Why did you go? I asked, my voice shaking. Emily sounded tired, defeated. I don't know. I thought maybe if I showed up, it would prove that I'm still part of the family. But it didn't matter. I was invisible the whole time. They were too wrapped up in each other to even notice I was there. I didn't know what to say. What could I say? The truth was Emily and I were invisible now. Dad had moved on. Diane had made sure of that. Update 8. I don't know how else to say this. I'm done. Yesterday, I got a letter in the mail. From Dad. It was cold, impersonal, almost like it had been written by a lawyer. In it, he explained that he'd officially updated his will. Everything was going to Diane and the kids. The house, the money, the investments. Emily and I, we were left out completely. There wasn't even a token gesture. Not even a sorry things didn't work out. Just a dry, legal statement informing me that my father's new family was his real family now. I sat there, holding the letter, feeling the weight of it in my hands. It was the final nail in the coffin, the last piece of proof that we didn't matter anymore. Emily came over later, and we talked about it for hours. She's heartbroken, of course, but she's still trying to be the bigger person, trying to understand Dad's side of things. But me? I'm done trying to understand. I'm done making excuses for him. This is it. I'm cutting ties. It hurts like hell, but at this point, I don't see any other way. If Dad wants his new family, he can have them. I'm just not going to be a part of it. I wish I could say this is the ending I wanted, that there's some sense of closure here. But there's not. There's just this emptiness, this feeling of being erased from my own life. I don't know what the future holds for me, but I know one thing for sure. I can't keep holding on to a man who's already let me go. Thanks to everyone who's been following along. I don't know what I expected when I posted here, but I guess I just needed to get it out. If you're dealing with something similar, my advice? Don't wait around hoping things will change. Sometimes, you just have to let go. Final update. It's been a few months now since I decided to cut ties with Dad. Honestly, I feel lighter. It's like this huge weight has been lifted off my chest, like I can finally breathe again. Emily's still in touch with him, but even she's starting to pull back. She told me that Diane had another baby shower last week, and Dad didn't even bother to invite her. Emily's trying to move on too. We're both in therapy, which has helped a lot. It's hard though, because no matter how much you try to convince yourself that you don't need someone, it still stings when they choose to leave you behind. But here's the thing. I'm starting to realize that I don't need Dad's approval or Diane's fake smiles or any of that toxic family bullshit. I have my own life, my own future, and I'm not going to waste any more time on people who don't care enough to fight for me. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. Moving on, focusing on myself, and learning to let go of the things and the people that are holding me back. If you're out there reading this and you're feeling lost in your own family drama, just know that you don't have to stick around and wait for things to get better. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away. Thanks again for listening. I think this is the last time I'll be posting here. Time to start a new chapter.